Okay, we'll call the regularly scheduled meeting to order. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Jim Zarnik,
Present.
Kim Kroll,
Here.
John Schaefer,
Present.
Patty Simstermurchek,
Here.
Wayne Pondinas,
Present.
Joe Wizawati.
Present.
All righty. Before you, you have in your packet the minutes from the July 18th meeting. Barring any discussion or corrections, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Right, motion carries. All right, new and old business, 2023 wastewater budget. Did everyone have a chance to review that?
Yes.
Is there any questions or discussion on this?
I have none.
Okay.
Nothing
I believe that
changed.
last month we got everything we needed addressed.
Right, the only question I had, I think there was a little discussion on possibility the village manager doing a separate spreadsheet for us, Joe?
I think that Amber provided a copy of the current expenses. If you look here, and she does apologize, she couldn't make it to tonight's meeting, but just to give you the breakdown of the expenses by appropriation number versus your budget to actual from January to the end of July. The clerk treasurer's office provides a copy of the report every month, and they compile the list based on those appropriation numbers, which are there. I mean, you might need a microscope to read it, but it's rough. I mean, even I have a hard time reading it, but it works better if it's on a legal page. But they will provide copies of those every month, so you guys will have those on a monthly, ongoing basis as well.
Great.
This gives a good analysis of each individual, basically each line item, where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good for year end. Okay. Any further discussion on the budget?
Nope.
All righty. And before us, we have the approval of the task order number 2301 for Robinson Engineering in the amount of $25,000. Any discussion? On the task order, you've got your bullet points, exactly everything that was done. Okay, hearing no discussion, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Okay, any second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Second item is the approval of the invoice number 2307041 for task order number 2301 in the amount of $25,000. Barring any discussion, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, I was just a little surprised because the engineering fee is set up as per hourly rates with a not to exceed, but the invoice doesn't have a breakdown of the charges. It looks more like a lump sum invoice.
Well, thank you, Jason, sorry.
Would you rather see a more detailed?
I'm just
Invoice?
looking for an explanation.
I could explain that. When we first talked about this a couple months ago, I told you we'd do it for not to exceed $25,000. We're at about $26,000, a little bit over, so I just wasn't gonna show the invoice, but I could be happy to show it to you if you like it.
Well, I really don't want to delay payment. I think $25,000 is a more than fair price.
Mm-hmm.
Just wondering why the individual charges weren't shown, that's all.
So, well, going forward, if we have any additional invoices, possibly if we could get a better breakdown?
Absolutely.
Okay. All righty. Point well taken. Right. Barring any other discussion, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the invoice for Robinson Engineering for $25,000.
So moved.
Under the question on the invoice, just protocol, does this have to be on the docket or to be paid, or how does that work? Because I notice it's not on the docket, but yet there's another engineering bill that is on the docket. And I'm not sure what the current rule would be as far as, how the village's policies go.
Right, it would end up on
Town
a subsequent
policy.
docket if the clerk treasurer's office were to remit payment on it prior to with the authorization of the sanitary board. So if the sanitary board approves payment, she can issue check
Okay.
prior to issuing the docket, but it would show up on a subsequent docket just to keep the records clear.
So we will see that next month
Correct.
on our docket. So,
Okay.
okay. Going forward, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Reports and correspondence. Robinson Engineering, project updates.
Thank you, Madam President. So as you know, we've been working with Sherrville on wastewater treatment plant capacity. Just give you a little background. Prior to 2016, the town of St. John owned 20% of Sherrville's wastewater treatment plant, which would equate it to a maximum population of 17,500. In 2016, you negotiated an additional 10% to be 30% owner, which equated to a population of 26,250. And now you want to get to your ultimate build-out population of 35,000, which equates to 40% capacity of their treatment plant. We've been working with Sherrville, of course, Mr. Wizawadi and the town's been working with them. And then on August 7th, we had a meeting with them, and they agreed to give the town of St. John 10% additional capacity to get you to 35,000, which is what your master plan says your town should be at. They need to work out what the cost is going to be on it, and they said that they're waiting for their accountant to come up with what that number is going to be. And when they do get that number, of course, we're all on the same page. We want to be able to take that number and apply it to all the future developments in town so the residents aren't paying for it. So this is nothing that's critical now, obviously, because you've got 26,250 people that you have capacity for. And right now, you're about at 21,000, so you got time on this. But we want to get these numbers in place so that developers could be made notified of it and start considering and start figuring how they're going to be paying for it too.
Right, and we'll also have to create legislation and discussions with the Plan Commission with amending the subdivision control ordinance, so that way the regulations can be in place for the new developers when they come in to pay those fees. And there's been discussion at staff level whether those should be levied at the time of the development or at the time of permit, or a combination of both, or however that's going to look, but we're still working on the finer points because we don't have dollar amounts, so we can't really plug that in. But once we do get that, then we'll be able to get the legislation put together that needs to get done.
And has building slowed down a little bit? with
It
the
has. I mean,
Increase in interest rates?
yeah, I mean, I think there's been a lot of impact on that. Oddly enough, I mean, it seemed to slow down and kind of picked up a little bit, but all in all, we're probably down between 30 to 40% overall, which is a lot better than a lot of communities, which have really had a hard impact on development. But we're still moving along. We have had some early discussions with respect to a larger commercial development that will be probably breaking ground possibly next year. That's their goal. Pretty big development, so looking forward to it. Commercial development, yeah.
Good,
Yeah. Well, I say commercial, but
yeah,
yeah.
good. Very good.
They got a lot of steps they got to go through in
Okay.
order to get there. But looks really good, very promising.
Okay, how will that impact us on the sanitary side?
Not very big.
Okay.
not a big user, so,
Okay.
obviously, there will be some impact, but not a massive,
Okay.
massive user.
Not like
so.
a 800 unit.
Yeah, exactly, exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
all righty. Anything else? Tom?
Yes, so to build on that, now that we're going from 2.625 MGD a day to 3.5 MGD a day, we had to verify if you got conveyance to get the sanitary sewer from your town into Schererville. There is a main drain, it's a 36-inch line that starts about where Bingo Lake is, and it runs parallel to 41 on one street to the east, and that capacity of that line is about 19 MGD. So your total capacity would be, when you apply your peaking factor, would be 14 MGD. You got capacity for 19 MGD. That's great. That's great news. It's everything upstream of there and where these developments are occurring, how we're going to get the sewage to that point. And we got to take a little closer look at there's capacity in these lines to suffice on it. And everything comes from like a crystal ball on this. We don't know where development's going to occur. We don't know when development's going to occur. We just know that we have this open area south of 231 that people want to have come into St. John. And that's what the founders, not the founders, but it's what the elected officials of St. John want. That's what your master plan shows on it. And we just got to figure out that little piece of the puzzle. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, but I think the good part is that your main drain, which starts at your northern limits of town, about where Bingo Lake is heading north, could handle 19 MGD, and the most you're going to need is 14 MGD in there. So when I say MGD, I should say million gallons a day. That's what that stands for. Okay? And I have one more thing if you'd like me to go on.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
so we got some great news. We're, as you know, the Acorn Lift Station Abandonment Project is going to be starting, and that we're in the process of having contracts going back and forth for signatures on it. They're looking to be starting about the third or fourth week of August, probably the fourth week of August. And the pre-construction meeting was held on August 2nd. We're reviewing the shop drawings right now, and there's an informational meeting for the residents on tomorrow at 6 p.m. at Acorn Court. The contractor will be there. We will also be there. The public works staff will be there. We hope that all you people will be there. Any resident who wants to come and learn a little more about it could be there. These things go about 30 or 40 minutes. We have a table. We set a table up. We have a set of plans. We introduce the residents to the contractors, so you know what type of truck they're driving, type of uniform they're going to be having on, their type of badges they're going to be wearing. And we just try to get the communication going back and forth. We ask the residents to tell us if there's any special events going on between now and the end of fall, that you'll have parties on Saturdays or Sundays, to let us know, and we'll try our hardest to make sure there's no heavy equipment parked in front of their house or that kind of stuff. So it's just informational. It's a big public relations step, we like doing with the communities, and the residents love it. They just feel a part of it now. So,
Good, and they'll be notified, obviously, when their water's shut off and
yes.
any inconveniences like that.
I don't anticipate too many water shutoffs. There will be some water shutoffs when we transfer their service line over for each individual home, and they'll be per individual home, and there'll be a shutoff when we make the final connections, which will be probably for 2 to 4 hours, probably 2 or 3 days throughout the entire construction. And I don't, I mean, two or three times for 2 to 4 hours. And we'll schedule it ahead of time.
Well, given everything those residents have had to put up with recently, I'm sure they're gonna be tickled pink to have this thing
Yeah.
tomorrow night, so.
And we had a good meeting with the general contractor as well for our kickoff. And he even pointed out a few things that he would have done different on some of the stuff, which there was one thing, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a good idea. So I think we're going to take a look at doing that. So
Okay, and I am not completely familiar with Acorn Court. Drove through it when this first started, but I didn't really do a house count. How many homes are impacted by this?
gosh,
35 maybe? I had to guess.
I could tell you in a second here. I want to
Just out of
I want to say
curiosity.
26. I don't know why 26 is stuck in my head.
Okay. Yeah, I should have been paying closer attention. I just did a quick drive-through. Jason has the answer. He has He's like the wizard.
It's gonna do a count.
I have the number of service lines that we're doing on a spreadsheet here, and it's coming up, and I'll let you know. The number of service lines have to equal the number of homes. I've got approximately 30.
30?
Me and Wayne were right.
So
It was between those numbers.
Between.
26,
win.
32.
We both win.
You're closer by one.
So it's, it's still a substantial amount. It's not 3, 4, 5, so.
Right, right,
Okay.
right. And then you got to figure the impact of the neighboring people who aren't really impacted directly, just the trucks and the construction and all that too. They're going to be inconvenienced
Sure.
somewhat.
It's a shame the kids are back in school. Little kids love to watch those trucks all day, so.
Hopefully they're staying out of the trenches. They weren't on 93rd, I can tell you that.
All righty. Anything else, Tom?
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank-
I've got one question, Tom. Is there, with the meetings that you've had and everything regarding Cherville and everything else, is there minutes or a summary report or anything? So that way, the board has something in the future to always look back on and, what was discussed or whatever came up, or any bullet points or anything like that?
John, the last meeting we had lasted about a half hour, and it was just pretty much a follow-up, whether or not they have capacity for us. The first meeting was a longer one, and I could produce some minutes for it on it.
Something that we have in the
Yeah, but
record.
the last one we had, started out with, yes, we have capacity, you wanted 10%, we get 10%. We don't know what the cost is, our accountant's got to figure out that cost, and we will get back to you when the accountant gets back from vacation. That's what
Yeah.
he said
The
to us.
first meeting was basically everybody was there. The second meeting was very casual. I called it because I knew he was going on vacation and that after the AIM conference next week, so I'm like, let's get together, hurry up before, he goes on vacation, just to kind of follow up on our meeting that we had the prior month. So we wanted to follow up on that and make sure that, we want that continuation, the dialogue to continue. So Jim's a good guy in Cherville. Him and Andy both are good guys to work with. Very straight shooters, just very matter of fact, which I like that in them, so.
Yeah, and the only reason I ask is, we all know people can change, people can move. At least there's
Absolutely.
something that's, if there is a change, at least there's some dialogue that we know what happened prior to. So,
Yeah, and maybe going forward, if, not necessarily a formal report, but even just an email with a synopsis of it and who was there, so when we are ready to tackle this project, we can show a timeline for
Right.
our records. We've got some documentation to show
Yeah, that's fair, yeah.
the timeline, so even, just a simple email. Okay. All right. Town council liaison. Mr. Wayne.
Nothing for me, other than I think that the vac truck is on order. When's it gonna come? I don't know.
Okay.
But that's all through Sourcewell, so there's no trying to get different bids here and there. It's all one price. Whatever they come up with, that's what we have to pay.
And they're happy with the features that
I
were
think so.
available? Okay. All righty, but it is on order.
I think so. I seen the request for purchase, so
Okay,
I'll find out for you.
okay, yeah, that'd be great.
All right.
All righty. And town manager Joe.
I don't have any report this evening per se, other than just basically, like I gave the Water Works Board an update on 93rd. They just finished up the water main project. They still have to run the main on the south end under 41 when they move on that end. So they're in the process of getting concrete curbing and driveway and sidewalk on the north end of 93rd. And then once that's done, they'll get the paving done, switch it to the south side. So hopefully that'll be coming here in short order. So looking forward to getting that project moving along and done. But they're probably right on schedule. still.
Going to
so.
ask the $100 question that everyone's asking. When do they anticipate that'll be done?
End of November, December.
Okay.
So that's their target.
Same crystal ball that we're dealing with the subdivisions, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All righty. Anything else?
No, that's all.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
I've got a couple of questions. I guess it's my night for questions. Regarding the vac truck. Did we get I know it was talked about when we kind of somewhat approved, we said, to move forward. And I thought there was going to be something coming back to the
It will
board
be.
as far as
Yeah.
what the final cost was, because we
Right.
never knew what the updated costs were. So we didn't really prove a dollar amount.
We didn't.
So
But on the request to purchase,
I'll get that information. And I know to John's point that you can get the chassis now, say for 50,000. 3 weeks from now, it might go up 10 grand. And it can go up even further after that. So I'll find out. I'll ask questions. I'll send you an
just to
email.
see what the final Sourcewell contract was, or, whatever that final number was, so we should probably actually then do a final approval on what that actually is, and, how much is going to, the water board's paying for, and how much the wastewater board is paying for, and if the town council is paying for anything or not, what that split would be, just something as a formal approval, because we just basically approved for them to move forward to get final pricing, and we never seen that final pricing back.
Wayne, do you have any ballpark of what they're looking at? Have they discussed that with you?
I think it's just a standard machine. It wasn't like the one that you guys looked at about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
It don't have all the bells and whistles on it, but it'll get the job done. It'll do
What
the
is the
hydro
approximate
excavation.
cost of a quote-unquote standard machine?
Yeah, the other one was a demo, and the demo had more on it. So we were gonna get that, and then that just didn't work. So it has some spotlights that you can throw in, light that you can throw inside a manhole. It lit up everything. It had the controls, that one guy can have it on his waist and control it. I don't know if this one does, but I heard it was cut back a little bit. And then the price went up a considerable amount.
Well, we still don't know.
But I will get the pricing,
Okay.
and then I'll find out, what the water board would pay for and wastewater board. We'll hunt down the information.
Okay. And who is the point person at Public Works on this?
I think that would be Bob Davis.
Bobby Davis? Okay.
Didn't we discuss seeing if there were ARPA funds available for that too? Or not?
I don't think the ARPA funds were considered for that. I know we did discuss it at one point during the discussion for the ARPA, but I don't think there was anything that was set aside for that through
Okay.
ARPA.
Okay.
But I know that we did discuss having a 40, 30, 30 split, so it's 40 sanitary, 30 for water, and 30 for storm. That was what the numbers that were discussed. And that's what I think we're looking at in terms of budget for that.
Okay.
What are the ARPA funds going to be utilized for?
What's that?
What are the ARPA funds going to be utilized for in terms of water and wastewater?
Whatever the town council decides they want to do with it. That's basically their discretion. I think there's like about 3 million that's left, or 2.6 million that's left in unspent money out of there. So there's a substantial amount still remaining. It's just a matter of what they want to use those funds for.
What's the deadline to use those funds?
They have to be appropriated and spent by the end of 2025.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, there's a long time yet that it could be spent, but, we'll see.
Okay. All righty.
I guess with that, nothing has been totally earmarked for all the funds yet, correct? The ARPA funds?
That's correct. Well, we don't have an exact figure in
Right.
terms of what this
Right,
final number is going to be.
we still got money to spend on it, but they also want 2 dump trucks. And then they need.
That I know is on the agenda for discussion.
That's coming up. I think they're white Freightliners, if I remember right. Usually we try and get max. And then,
And it was like 400,000 or something like that.
yeah, there's a chipper that they got on that list.
I think that one's ordered and then.
That was 125,000.
Yeah, it's in the, I know it's in the budget because we have some for solid waste and we have some for maybe CCD. budget.
And one time we got a grant for it because they said, where are your chips going that are over here in this pit? And the residents take it. So as fast as we fill it up, the residents are taking it and throw it in their yard. Then there's a,
Start charging them $5, we pay for it that way.
yeah, a F-550 that we had.
Yeah.
Our name was on it. Now they can't find it. I don't know if they found the chassis again.
Oh, that one's been going around for a long time.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
I guess my point on that is, once
Long
we
time.
find the final dollar amount, and we
been
make
over a
sure
year.
that we have enough money in our budget, you know, or if we don't, or if we think we're gonna be cutting ourselves short. I know Baker Tilly did a kind of a
Cash flow analysis
cash flow
for us, yeah.
analysis on that,
Yeah.
but depending on what that price is, if we think we're gonna be short, we can always send a letter to the town council requesting that they possibly earmark ARPA funds to make up that difference if we need a difference.
that makes
Yeah.
good sense.
The biggest thing we
Or it
need,
gets spent.
the biggest thing is we need is better communication on this truck issue. Because if you're saying that they already have a contract for it,
Well, Sourcewell does. Sourcewell does.
Just-
Has a contract, because it's a no bid thing. They've already did the state bid contract.
The way Sourcewell works, it's a consortium, basically, that they go out ahead of time and they bid all these different products, and the manufacturers or the vendors put in their price. So if you wanted to buy a Vector truck, it may be Standard Equipment that is the local dealer, but if you're using Sourcewell, it will go through Standard, but his price is already set by Sourcewell, and they bid that throughout the country. Basically, same thing with, you know, if it's a plow truck.
Right.
There's a multiple thing of items on there that you can use. It's basically a bidding process. They've already gone out and bid that type of truck or that type of product or whatever it is, and you can use that pricing under government regulations.
okay, which is fine.
And I think, Joe might know, I think that was a purchase to lease. And I thought it was like $47,000 a year.
I know that was an option, if we chose to do it
remember
as a
seeing
lease
something
purchase.
like that.
Yeah, and we could put whatever amount of money we want down on it, and then, you know, finance the rest of it like any other vehicle purchase, if that's something we wanted to do.
Okay.
But again, we're gonna look at our numbers,
Right.
you know, as
My
we get
biggest
closer.
concern is as long as we're kept in the loop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll make sure that, you know, we get the information on the specifics for the truck and the estimated cost, because I don't want to say that's the total cost, but the estimated cost of what we're looking at, and then how much each would apply to both sanitary, water, and storm.
Okay. Yeah, because Baker Tilly did have that in our budget,
Mm-hmm.
so.
And you can look up Sourcewell on the internet, and it explains how their system works and everything.
Okay. Alrighty. Anything else? Any other questions? We'll move on to the payment of bills. We have an accounts payable voucher for the sanitary district in the amount of $23,566.69. Barring any discussion or questions, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
One question, I believe this would probably go somewhat to Joe and Robinson. On the voucher is Haas Associates for data records and search. And I was just wondering, it was related to Lift Station 1, what that was, what we were collecting, or why, or
I may be able to answer that one.
That's what I
We did request information on the design summary of Lift Station 1 that showed the population equivalency for that plant, for Lift Station 1. And they responded back and forth to Mr. Wizenwadi. I said, we have it. We just need to know if we're gonna get paid, and Joe says we need to have the data, and, he requested, and I guess he billed it. I did not see the invoice, but just last month, we asked for it, and they said that they had it, and they
And
sent
I
it.
asked him for what would it cost for him to do this, and he said not to exceed 500. I said, then that's fine, go ahead and get it done.
Okay. I mean, the only, and I don't know previous agreements, what was there or not, but typically, that is information that actually, if they had it, it still belongs to
And they gave it.
the town of St. John, but it shouldn't necessarily cost us money to get that information. But, you know.
You would think
being
so.
that we are no longer using them, you know,
Yeah.
that could be a reason why. And then the other one was Lake County Surveyor. Was that for permits? That's Lake County Surveyor for $1,300. It seems like it was an application or something like that. Was that for the Acorn?
Yes, it was, sir, it was. It's because the Lake County Drainage Board has to review crossing Bull Run Creek. That's the reason why.
And that's their permit charge for that?
Yes, they did.
Their
And I was
review.
surprised they charged towns, but they charged
Yeah.
towns. We made it clear that this was the town of St. John, and typically those kind of fees are waived, but this wasn't, so.
Okay. No other questions?
Okay. All righty. So we will need a motion for the approval of these sanitary district vouchers in
Kim
the
made the
amount.
motion.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Kim made the motion.
Okay, oh, that's right. Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All righty. And next, we have the wastewater utility district vouchers in the amount of $305,718.32. Any questions or discussion? All right. Entertain a motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. No public comment? So I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor,